The Berlin Wall speech was delivered by United States President Ronald Reagan in West Berlin on June 12, 1987. The speech is commonly known by a key line from the middle part: "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." Reagan called for the General Secretary of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union, Mikhail Gorbachev, to open the Berlin Wall, which had encircled West Berlin since 1961. The following day, the New York Times carried Reagan's picture on the front page, below the title, "Reagan calls on Gorbachev to tear down the Berlin Wall." Its impact on the Kremlin became widely known after the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989. In the post-Cold War era, it was often seen as one of the most memorable performances of an American president in Berlin, after John F. Kennedy's Ich bin ein Berliner speech of 1963. It was written by Peter Robinson, then a speechwriter for the president, who currently hosts the Uncommon Knowledge program of the Hoover Institution.
Arriving in Berlin on Friday, June 12, 1987, Reagan and his wife were taken to the Reichstag, where they viewed the wall from a balcony. Reagan then gave his speech at the Brandenburg Gate at 2 p.m., in front of 2 panes of bulletproof glass shielding him from East Berlin. Among the spectators were West German President Richard von Weizsäcker, Chancellor Helmut Kohl, and West Berlin Mayor Eberhard Diepgen. In the speech, he said, "We welcome change and openness, for we believe that freedom and security go together, that the advance of human liberty can only strengthen the cause of world peace. There is one sign the Soviets can make that would be unmistakable, that would advance dramatically the cause of freedom and peace. General Secretary Gorbachev, if you seek peace, if you seek prosperity for the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe, if you seek liberalization, come here to this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall."
The speech received relatively little coverage from the media. Time magazine wrote 20 years later. John Kornblum, senior U.S. diplomat in Berlin at the time of Reagan's speech and U.S. ambassador to Germany from 1997 to 2001, said the speech wasn't really elevated to its current status until 1989, after the wall came down. East Germany's communist rulers were not impressed, dismissing the speech as an absurd demonstration by a Cold Warrior, as later recalled by Politburo member Günter Schabowski. The Soviet press agency TASS accused Reagan of giving an openly provocative, warmongering speech. Former West German Chancellor Helmut Kohl said he would never forget standing near Reagan when he challenged Gorbachev to tear down the Berlin Wall. He was a stroke of luck for the world, especially for Europe. In an interview, Reagan claimed that the East German police did not allow people to come close to the wall, which prevented the citizens from experiencing the speech at all. Peter Robinson, the White House speechwriter who drafted the address, said that the phrase "tear down this wall" was inspired by a conversation with Ingeborg Els of West Berlin. In a September 2012 article in The Atlantic, Liam Hoare pointed to the many reasons for the tendency for American media to focus on the significance of this particular speech. Author James Mann disagreed with both critics like Hoare, who saw Reagan's speech as having no real effect. In a 2007 opinion article in the New York Times, he put the speech in the context of previous Reagan overtures to the Soviet Union, such as the Reykjavik summit of the previous year, which had very nearly resulted in an agreement to eliminate American and Soviet nuclear weapons entirely. This nuanced debate reflects the complexities of Cold War politics and the power of rhetoric in international relations. It highlights how historical events can be interpreted differently based on perspective and context. The impact of speeches and diplomatic actions can ripple through history, shaping the course of nations and ideologies. He characterized the speech as a way for Reagan to assuage his right-wing critics that he was still tough on communism, while also extending a renewed invitation to Gorbachev to work together to create the vastly more relaxed climate in which the Soviets sat on their hands when the wall came down. Mann claimed that Reagan wasn't trying to land a knockout blow on the Soviet regime, nor was he engaging in mere political theater. He was instead doing something else on that damp day in Berlin, 20 years before Mann's article. He was helping to set the terms for the end of the Cold War. In November 2019, a bronze statue of Reagan was unveiled near the site of the speech. The unveiling ceremony was attended by world leaders, dignitaries, and descendants of those who witnessed Reagan's speech decades ago. As the statue stood tall, overlooking the historic site, it served as a symbol of Reagan's enduring legacy as a key figure in shaping the course of history during the Cold War era.